GW May 2017 edition. Happy to see you all here today. Looks like we got a pretty good group. And we have today Simon Woodside from MedStack. He's going to give us a little talk about what they're doing there and his journey. I'm also going to order some pizza, and then we also have Chris Charles, who's kind of hiding in the back right now from Band of Coders. He's going to give us a little bit of a discussion about how to build a solid backend for your app. So I'm going to go and order some pizza right now. Any special requests? Anything anybody cannot eat? Vegetarian? Nothing?
No pineapple.
No pineapple. Okay, got it. All right, and with that, Simon, take it away, man.
Good to see everybody. It's great to be back here. Recognize a couple people. I actually founded this meetup many years ago, and then basically started doing MedStack and have now work mostly in Toronto and Hamilton, so I haven't been around a lot, but it's awesome that it's still happening. So I'm going to keep things pretty informal. I don't have like a slide deck. Instead, I have like some slides from different decks that I'm going to use. But in general, I think the theme of tonight is not iOS. It's like backends, but it's backends that support apps. So I'll give you a quick summary for me. I've been programming on iOS since prehistoric periods because I was doing OpenStep. So next step begat OpenStep, which begat macOS 10, which begat iOS, which begat whatever WatchOS or it's called. I was programming on OpenStep back in like 1997, so it's the same thing, just better now. Objective-C, don't use that other thing. So, computer science degree from Waterloo, and then worked in Silicon Valley for a while, and then discovered I didn't like having a boss, so I started my first company, which was the world's first downloadable QR code scanner, which was a Symbian app. Anybody heard of Symbian? Yeah, okay, cool. And then J2ME became a big thing, so I made a J2ME version of that. Anybody heard of that? And then that company didn't work out. It was really cool from a tech point of view, PR. Like we got lots of press and stuff, but so that was called Semicode. Then I started my second company, which was called Monolith, and Monolith was a custom app development agency, which was mostly healthcare and exclusively iOS. Started in 2009, so pretty much just after the beginning of time for iOS. First app was a hearing testing app for a local company called Unitron, and so really got into healthcare. And then got the sort of itch to try another product company, and that turned into MedStack. So MedStack's my third company, and it's actually doing very well. So I formally formed the company 2 years ago, spun that out of Monolith. And Monolith is now ceased, but my business partner and I, so my ex-business partner for Monolith is now running a new company called Tuke. I'm running MedStack, and we actually we're just about to announce a $500,000 pre-seed round, and we just got into 500 startups. We don't have to move, which is nice, but I will be going down Mountain View. So things are going really well. We have like 20 customers, and we're making about $15,000 a month. Right now, it's a SaaS company. I'll explain all about that. It's a platform for healthcare apps. So it provides a lot of healthcare apps need compliance. Compliance is like 150 pages of law in the US and Canada around privacy for healthcare data. It's very, very complex, and doing it yourself can cost a lot of money. But instead of telling you all of that now, what I'm going to do is they sort of suggested the story of how I got to where I am would be interesting. So I'm going to start by doing that, and then I'll talk a little bit about MedStack, and I would love it if you guys would jump in at any moment with questions. So Before I even start, do you want to just do quick intros? I'm just curious to know who you guys are. So just quickly, who you are, what you do.
My name is Deal. I work at the Manulife Innovation Lab here. We mostly work on mobile apps, mostly iOS. We do web development as well, but pretty rare lately.
Cool.
I'm Chris. I do an app called Capo and Capo Touch. And that's pretty much it.
I'm John. I used to work for 3Com and a couple other companies, mostly doing low-level stuff in assembler and whatnot.
I'm Stefan. I'm pretty new to iOS development, and I'm working with a startup called Buzz, making a social nightlife app.
I'm Wes. I'm the iOS architect at Tulip Retail. We make iPad and phone apps for sales associates and retail enterprises.
I'm Greg. We're building a product for fitness clubs that'll eventually need mobile apps.
I'm Min. I'm pretty new to iOS also. I'm currently working on a stock trading app.
I'm Sumi. Until recently, I was working with BlackBerry. I've been doing iOS development for about 4 years now.
I'm Chris. I have nothing to do with iOS development at all, and I'm probably the only person who's got a Mac. There's another one there, another non-Mac. I work with John though, and we've done some work together, and he does front-end stuff, and I do back-end stuff, so it works pretty well.
My name is Dan. I work remotely for a really boring company in the US that makes internet fax apps, and on the side, I do iOS development for them. And on the side, I make a few small iOS apps for fun.
Hi, I'm Mike. I'm fairly new to the field. Starting a job on Monday for data communications management at Kitchener as an eForms developer, and I'm new to iOS.
I'm George. I'm interested in all kinds of technologies, from cross-platform to web stack. Just trying to figure out where the industry is going.
Cool. Does anybody here, either now or in the past, done anything related to healthcare IT? Yeah, a few. Have you ever run into compliance issues or anything like that?
No. Well,
HIPAA. Well, you're in insurance, so
Yeah.
banking, PCI. HIPAA. So medical is worse than PCI. It's much worse.
Yeah, I know enough to fear it, but
All right, so I'll come back to that. So anyway, yeah, please feel free to jump in questions. So first of all, how did I get to where I am now? And I'm gonna, obviously I'm not gonna tell you my life story, but I find the whole idea of how do you start a product company very interesting. And so because I did a miserable job in my first company. I had a great technology, but I did not have a good product. And I have some slides that it's been a while since I've updated these slides, but
Do you know much about sales when you started your first company?
I knew nothing about it. So I have no business knowledge prior to that.
Yeah.
And I have nobody in my family who knows anything about business. They're all like left-wing academics.
Yeah.
Not exclusively, but mostly, and so they kind of even don't like business. They think business is a four-letter word.
Yes.
Yeah. So I've learned it all. I've taught myself everything. So I'm just going to skip through some stuff. So here's my sort of philosophy of products, and so when I started my first company, Semicode, I had this, okay? So I had a technology, and it was a solution that did not have a problem. Because QR codes in general, outside of Japan, don't really solve any problem. In Japan, when first QR codes first came out, most people did not have a PC, and so they were using their phone for everything, including online shopping. And so QR codes became very, very popular in ads, in newspapers and things, anywhere. You would scan something, you could buy things. It was a very important e-commerce channel. But here, where everybody had PCs, they're already using PCs to shop. It had no relevance at all. So it was a fantastic technology. We got lots and lots of buzz and everything, but it worked really well. But it didn't make any money. And so people do also call this, if you build it, they will come. Don't do this. I mean, it's fine to do this for fun, but don't think you're making a business. Right? So what I learned, first of all, through like doing that wrong. So then when I was running Monolith as a consulting as a custom app development agency, I got a chance to work with like maybe 25, 30 companies, of which more than half were startups. So I got to see people do things wrong and right, and I got really interested in problems. What problems do people have? How can you solve them with technology? How do you identify a good problem that a business could solve? And I was doing a party, and somebody would be talking about some very narrow niche business that they're in. And I discovered it's very interesting to hear about what kind of technology problems they have, because niche solutions can be excellent. So once you've identified a good problem, then obviously you need to figure out, is there a solution at all, right? There's many problems that can't be solved, obviously. But if it looks like there is a solution, then come up with that and try to keep it simple. And then finally, of course, somebody has to be able to pay for this, right? So I call it customer. One interesting aspect of healthcare is that often the person who's paying is not the person who's using it. So typically, patients don't pay for things. And that's not just here in Canada. In the U.S., sometimes people are paying out of their pocket for healthcare, but usually they're not. It's either Medicare or private insurance. So in many industries, there's a split between who's using and who's paying. True in education, government, a lot of enterprise kind of stuff. So it really, you might almost say,
customer? Who's that customer?
So the key thing here is who's going to pay for it.
So that's okay.
Yeah, and I think if I was redoing these slides, I'd change that. So the ultimate goal here is you want to have these three things all come together. There is a real problem, and this problem is big enough that somebody will pay you to fix it, and you have actually found a way to fix it technologically speaking. So that's a product. No, that's not just a technology or a hobby or whatever. And then there's a curious to know. Sorry, I just lost my mouse. Right. Okay. So who has read this book? Anyone? Okay, so if you're ever thinking about if you're in a startup, you're thinking about doing a startup, or you just want to design something people can use, this is like the Bible. It's the short form Bible. There's another one called Startup Owner's Manual. Pull up. So this is a much thicker book, which is a much more step-by-step, in depth, which is a very great book as well. And so these books have revolutionized starting up, because they've introduced the concepts of lean manufacturing to starting up. So for me, and really what they talk about is conducting experiments. So there's a few main things, but conducting experiments, seeing everything is purely a scientific hypothesis. We say, okay, I have a theory that healthcare application compliance is a problem that people will pay me to solve, and specifically I could build. So my original theory was something sort of like a platform, but I also thought Apple HealthKit was as sort of Apple HealthKit as a service, as a server service kind of thing would be really interesting. So that's your theory, and then what you do is you conduct an experiment, like you build a minimum viable product, which I'm sure you've all heard of, MVP, as minimal as possible, and then you test it and see if somebody will give you money, effectively. To sum it all up, that's kind of what you do. So what I wound up doing was being inspired by this. I love showing this to people.
Showing you a quick tour of Dropbox, which is a new way to store and share files online. What makes Dropbox different is that it just works, and there isn't any complicated setup or interface to learn. So let's get started. I've already installed Dropbox on a Windows PC and put a bunch of files in, and now I want to sync these files to my Mac. So to do that, I just installed Dropbox, and now I'm linking my Mac to my account. So in a second, my account will be linked, and you can see that the files that were on my Windows PC will start coming down. And what we're looking at is my Dropbox folder, which looks and acts like any other folder except for two things. One, these little green icons that indicate files are up to date. And two, anything in my Dropbox is synced across all of my computers to the web.
All right, that's enough. You don't need to see the rest. And so I was inspired by that, and I made my own sort of equivalent of this. And 2 years ago at a conference called Apps for Health, I did a demo, and I just realized I didn't queue that up. Here we are. It's got to be here. And of course it's not. So I did something similar. And we did this presentation, and then just give me a minute because I really want to find this.
So, just
Yeah, go ahead.
so I don't know if that was the original Dropbox demo.
Don't
video.
spoil it, please.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. I know I have this here. Anybody have any questions while I'm trying to find this? Other questions rather than spoilers? All right. Well, I am not. I'll do one final search. All right. So I'll just describe it to you. All right. So I made a demo, and as I mentioned about HealthKit. So we had a server, all right, so what I showed in the demo was I had an app running on an iPhone, and it was a HealthKit app, so it synced some data to HealthKit, and using our library, okay, so the MedStack library that we built for iOS, and then it synced to a server, and then we had a simple web app which showed the data being updated on the server, and it was the same HealthKit data, so we basically implemented all of the HealthKit data models on a Rails backend, and then so that could synchronize, and then it did some simple graphing. And this demo went really well, so it was great. We launched our company. We got some attention on Twitter and blogs and things. And the thing that they both had in common is they were both completely fake. So this Dropbox video, yeah, this is a problem. See, it should be showing up on my other screen. What happened to it? Oh, whatever. This Dropbox video was totally fake. This guy, I don't remember. Do you remember his name? Drew. Oh, it's right there. Drew Houston faked that completely. He had no code written when he made that video. And in fact, this was like not his first one. He made another one, or two, I think, before that. And like the first one he posted on YouTube, and it got like maybe 100 views, and the second got like 1,000. This one got 100,000 views, and he had a sign-up link. All right, so he had a little like beta sign-up link. People could click on. He had like whatever. Maybe he had 100,000 sign-ups. People wanted it. They loved this. Okay, so he then turned around and went to Y Combinator and said, "Hey, I got 100,000 sign-ups. I'd like to build this now." And they gave him some money, and he spent the next few months because he was a really good programmer. And he built the thing out, and the beauty of that was he knew people wanted it before he built it, so he didn't waste his time, right? Think about it. If you just go, oh, I know what people want, spend a year or 3 months or whatever it is coding up a bunch of stuff and then throw it out there, and you were wrong, well, you arguably just wasted a year of your life, right? And potentially a lot of money and all kinds of stuff. But if you make a demo that looks like a real thing, but it's totally fake, and somebody will give you money for it, and then you build it, well, you didn't waste your time because they've already got their money, right? And they already know people want it. Whatever, it's money, Dropbox is free, whatever, right? So that's the experiment. I don't feel this is unethical at all. I like to be very ethical, but I don't feel this is unethical because it's being done for a very good reason, which is to not waste a lot of time. And people waste so much time building software and other products that nobody wants that I think it's key. So I highly recommend this. Unfortunately, I didn't completely follow my own advice because I actually did build a whole bunch of Rails code for HealthKit, and nobody wanted it. So people were like, "Oh, that's really cool," and the demo, like I said, went really well at the conference, but nobody's ever paid me for HealthKit. Fortunately, I did two things. I built the HealthKit backend, and then I built what is really the core of MedStack. So MedStack, the other half, and I'll now give you like the 5-minute slideshow about that. So this is much more polished, I promise. So keep in mind that what you're about to see. You guys know what retconning is? Anybody here like a fan of what's Jim just tell us?
It's retroactive continuity, where it's basically like in a comic book where it's like, actually, this thing that happened 5 years ago, it happened a different way now.
Yeah.
We're changing the past to make it convenient for the current story.
Yeah. So I'm basically I'm retconning a little bit in the sense that the way I tell this story is all true, but it's not the full story, right? So 4 years ago, probably now. This is true, right? I'm not changing history. I'm just telling you selectively parts of it. 4 years ago, I was talking to one of my customers, and we were in the process of building a huge app, medical app for them. And they brought in a lot of lawyers and other compliance experts. And to ask us questions, just like, what are you doing? Although they were filling out all these huge forms. And so at some point I went to my customer, the CEO, and I said, how much do you guys spend on it? It seemed like a lot. And they said, oh, no, it wasn't so bad. This year, it's only $150,000. Well, they'd only paid us up to that point $150,000. And plus, they'd only had raised $1 million. So they just spent 15% of that on something called compliance, which actually does not make them any money at all. But is needed. So compliance, I realized, was a big problem, right? And what I saw was that other customers of mine and other companies were doing this over and over again. So I thought, there's got to be a way to make this so that I can make a product that does compliance for you, and then I can just charge a bit of money and do it once for everybody. And so we did. And so there's 3 key components. By the way, when did I start?
Probably around 2022.
All right, good. So there's 3 key components to compliance, right? This is true in the US under HIPAA and in Ontario for PHIPAA as well. Physical security. So we are a cloud hosting provider, so Azure, AWS, IBM, they provide that. Technical safeguards is where we focus. So we install on VMs, and we lock down the operating system environment and the development and production environment. So we will do all kinds of encryption, we do backups, we do audit logging, we do firewalls, all that stuff, we take care of that. And then there's privacy, there's the documentation. So you have to write a lot of policies and procedures. And we partner with experts on that. So we can provide about like half of the hundreds of pages of documentation you need to write up pre-written, and about most of the rest of it is template. And we have packages with our partners that get you there if you're willing to do a bit of work with maybe a few $1,000s instead of $25,000 to $150,000. We also, so the way this works is we have a system we built on top of Ansible and Terraform, which we call a DevOps compiler. So we can build new systems that are fully compliant very quickly, like in half an hour for a new customer. And we're also using an interoperability system called FIRE, which is, does anybody here look at HealthKit? No? Okay. Well then, I can't use that analogy. It's a model for storing clinical data about patients. And it's a new international standard, which we have we're on that train. We're on that bandwagon.
So
Yeah.
I'm finding it a little hard to understand what the kind of how it would be used.
Yeah.
Is there kind of a simple example for like if I wanted to build a health app that was HIPAA compliant, like?
So what you do is you build your app, and then, sorry, I thought I was showing slides. Wow, that's terrible. Why did that not work? Geez, I've been like going, oh, these slides are awesome, because they really are. So hang on a second. Why did you say something?
I was thinking you go through your notes.
No.
Because I noticed.
All right, here. Look at how great these slides are, guys. Oh, look at that. And there's my money, where I was talking about the money. And here's the 3 things we do. Then the 2 things
Can you
we
go
do.
back to the 3 things you did?
Yeah. So physical security. So you have to lock the doors and all that. And, AWS, we run on major cloud providers. So we provide VMs and other services, cloud services. They are all based on AWS, Azure, and Bluemix right now. We may support Google in the future. But we significantly enhance what they offer. So what these cloud providers offer is not sort of locked down by default. So we lock them down, and then that gives you these technical safeguards. So if you install your app, we are surrounding that with layers of security, and I'll show you the details in a sec. Finally, like I mentioned, there's the paperwork.
Why you go through 3 cloud providers?
Yeah, so AWS is the most popular. We started there, but actually we started on Bluemix. So we started on SoftLayer because our first client was in Canada, and AWS did not yet have a Canadian data center. And also Azure did not yet have a Canadian data center. So the only major provider was IBM. And SoftLayer has now been integrated with Bluemix, which is why it's called Bluemix. And most hospitals in Canada have a requirement that you host their data in Canada. It's not actually a legal requirement in most provinces, although it is in some. That's why. That makes sense?
But then you moved from Azure, or
Right.
from
So because we started on SoftLayer is not amazing. And so we thought, well, let's make this whole thing agnostic to the underlying providers so we can use AWS and Azure in the future. And so we basically built our tooling is all agnostic. The only thing we can't do is Kubernetes. Anybody even use that? Heard of it? Okay, whatever. So we can't use Kubernetes, but aside from that, we can handle pretty much any deployment system. We can install, if you're running Java or PHP or JavaScript, Node.js, whatever, we can handle that. Any databases. We run on Debian, Linux, so Debian Jessie, which runs on anything. There's a few little things we do that are specific, but mostly it's pretty generalized. And for us, that's a big advantage because it means that as we start to scale, we can go to the provider that's cheapest for specific needs or is providing better tooling. We might move later to something like Rackspace, which is potentially cheaper at scale. Does that make sense? Yeah. By the way, if you're doing an app for healthcare, AWS has a significant drawback, which is in the US you have to use dedicated instances, and the minimums, so you have to pay a $2,000 a month fee extra, and the minimum size is an M4 large. So you cannot make small instances. So keep that in mind.
So you're using virtual machines, yeah, like an infrastructure level, yeah?
Yeah. So we run on virtual machines, and then we install Debian Jessie, and then create basically all of this on the left. You can see that now. And so this is some of what we do. So deployment is basically where you sit. So we can support Docker. Anybody here using containers? Not really.
Not really.
Anybody here notice that like all they write about on the internet is containers? But this number is reflective of our customers. So out of 20, we have 2 who are using containers. That's it. But you'll find that if you look at the internet, you think everybody's using it. Anyway, so you can use containers, but you can also just deploy using Git into a deployment account. And then we surround that. So we have, we run the proxy. So we run an Nginx proxy with our own TLS SSL configuration. We run a firewall. We manage the database. So we install the database and then we back that onto an encrypted partition, which gives you transparent database encryption, which is required by law for healthcare data. You don't have to modify your code at all. It's just encrypted for you. And then we also do encrypted backups. We do those hourly snapshots. Those get stored in a time scale. We have audit logging. All these things are required by HIPAA. There's much more you have to do, but anyway. And then we have our own monitoring system, which is on the right, because you'll find that like the public, even AWS and Azure's own server monitoring tools are not covered under their HIPAA compliance umbrella. So we're trying to make all the pain go away. Yeah.
So these people, they might give you like their database schema and I don't know, like their Node.js files. They give them to you and you get them running in your secure version of AWS. That's the workflow.
Yeah. We actually set up effectively a sandbox where they can deploy using almost any tools they want.
Okay.
We give them a database password using whatever database they want. And then they can run their standard installation and deployment tools.
So do you then take that sandbox and use that to make the real thing? Or
we're calling it a sandbox, but it's basically a special account, a special lockdown account on a VM,
right.
One or more VMs, because we have customers with many. That we provide them specific access just to that account. And it's not actually rooted, but it's close. And then they install in there, and then they can, in a safe way, they can run their normal process.
So they actually do the installation of their application for the most part,
And then you massage it however you need to make sure that it.
or you support them to make sure it's working right.
Yeah. So we take all of the services operating by the OS and cloud service provider and lock them down. Yeah.
Is that that sounds like a huge hassle to support like all these different people, like half the people I know do a not a very good job, in my opinion, right, of installing their web application or making it work well with their database. So I can imagine it'd be very frustrating to try and support them all. And
yeah, for sure. So I mean, I had a customer recently who had a problem where with database, like they maxed out their database connections.
right.
So it's like for us, it's a bit of a difficult line to walk because we're still relatively early. So we have like 20 customers. We can still provide individual support, but that's changing rapidly. And so for this customer, like, hey, probably you want to do this, that, and the other thing to your app. We don't look at their code, but we do give advice. The bigger problem, and this is really, in some sense, one of our main technological challenges, is how can we support, like, if you mix them all together, like thousands of different possible configurations, and still be able to scale them, maintain them over time, do security patches without breaking it. So what we've come up with is a combination of our own code and we use Ansible and Terraform. So anybody heard of those? Chef, Puppet? Okay. So Chef and Puppet, so DevOps. Anyone here a DevOps person? Michael? Is it Michael? Chris, sorry. Chris, would you call yourself a DevOps?
Not really, but I get into some of that stuff a little bit.
Yeah, there's a bit of a fad there, but there's some tools called Chef, Puppet, Ansible are the big ones. You can kind of write, okay, who here has written a bash script? Yeah, okay, or you command line? You just messed around with command line in the Unix system, yes? And so bash scripts are just taking a bunch of commands and just putting them in a file and you run them, right? So that's great, and that's how we started that. But of course, you quickly discover that you can't undo or whatever, right? Like if you run a bash script twice, it could like completely break everything because it like just redoes everything. So what these tools try to do is try to make that a little more easy to handle. So Ansible specifically is a great tool because it's kind of like a lot like Bash scripting. You really are, it's a lot like Unix or Linux commands, but it checks each one before it runs it to see if it's already happened, like it's already been done. And if it's already, if whatever effect it would have is already there, it doesn't run. So that's Ansible, and then and you can modularize, and you can pull in modules and say we have an Nginx module, and we can pass in variables and say, okay, this is the PHP setup, so it includes the PHP code and Nginx configurations. So that's Ansible. Big drawbacks for us right now, there's no rollback. So if we run Ansible on a machine and it breaks something, we have to fix it. We can't just say go back to what it was like before. Now, obviously, you could blow that machine away and make a new one, but most of our customers would not appreciate that. so that's Ansible. And Chef and Puppet are kind of similar. And then there's Terraform, and Terraform is similar, but it's all about creating infrastructure resources. So we create so with Ansible and with Terraform, we create a file, which is like our source code for that setup. And it says, they want Nginx and running PHP and they're doing this other thing, and then just you run it, and it goes for like 15 minutes, and then you have a system. Terraform does the same thing, but it spins up VMs, it'll create new block devices and elastic EBSs, and it'll create elastic IPs, and it'll go and hit our DNS provider, and it'll create the DNS and all that. And so it does the same thing. So it's automation.
So you have a custom encryption scheme because each cloud provider has its own encryption tooling. For example, the firewall, you run it like instant in the cloud that does firewall. They do like software.
Yeah. So the way we manage that is there's 2 layers. Each cloud provider has their own firewall. So we use Terraform to configure that. And then we also run UFW, which is a simple way to configure IP tables on Linux. And that gives us another firewall running on the OS. Currently, that's what we're doing. Yeah. That makes sense?
So everything you run through scripts, yeah? I mean...
well, they're sort of like scripts, but we're getting farther and farther away from actual scripts. Yeah. That makes sense?
Yeah.
It's very complicated. I mean, we're like kind of pushing the boundary around managing systems without using containers. And if you're using containers, the big benefit you get is you design everything to be purely temporary and sort of passing. You're going to destroy and create containers constantly. So everything. If you're running a web app in Rails, you set up your Docker file to create a web thing, and to create a Rails Docker container, and then that would automatically pull your code from Git and run it. And that's all going to be done every time you create this container. And you might create 5 of them, and if you want to change something, you don't change it in the container. You don't change it in that container. You destroy the container, change it, and then run a new one. However, since most of our customers don't use containers, we can't do that. So instead, we're still modifying running VMs. And in terms of doing that, we're pushing the boundaries of how to make that a reliable, safe process so that you can keep continuously upgrading security patches and things without breaking everything. Yeah. So, our customers love us. This is the big part of it. We have very happy customers. It's great. Blah, blah, blah. This is all non-technical stuff. Yeah, so I'll stop there and take questions. How's that sound? I actually want to add one more thing, okay? It's not like I just magically came up with MedStack. I played with a whole bunch of ideas when I was in law. Most of them were stupid. Terrible ideas. But I had 2. I wound up with 2 that I thought were pretty good. And one was MedStack, and the other one was a real estate thing. So I had this idea around better photography and visualizations for selling houses, effectively. And I actually I spent about a year on both. And we actually made some prototypes, similar, we did some mock-ups and things for the real estate thing too. And I think it could have been a good business, but ultimately the MedStack concept was better. People wanted it more, and they were more willing to give us money before we had anything built. So they were like, yeah, we want this, we'll pay for it. And I think that's key. I know I'm sort of talking about that a lot, but I think it's very important to think about any kind of product development you're doing in these terms of trying to let the people tell you that they want it as opposed to just coming up with your own thing. So, that's the end. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll be happy to take questions.
So if you were to compare Azure with AWS, Azure is a Microsoft, but they allow their infrastructure cloud platform to support Linux.
For us, Azure's way better because their HIPAA compliance covers all their instances down to an A0, so it's like 1 CPU, 1 gig of RAM. So it's way more flexible for us. I also think that so I've only been using Azure for about a year, and their UI was pretty bad before, but their current dashboard is really nice. Their resource groups are better than virtual private clouds. So the way that you can modularize groups of resources is much better. They've got lots of data centers. I like Azure a lot.
I think in Canada they have 2 data centers.
Yeah, they have 2, whereas AWS only has 1 and is unlikely to open another one soon.
But Bluemix, they evolved too, the IBM Bluemix.
They've had 2 for a long time. The problem with Bluemix right now is the part that came from Bluemix originally is good. The part that came from SoftLayer is really old and clunky. And unfortunately, if you're doing VMs, you're still on the old SoftLayer stuff. It does not have good segregation of resources. It has a lot of limitations. So I can't recommend SoftLayer. Unless you get $100,000 in credits, which is nice. So it just depends. Yeah.
I think in this current iteration of your business, you're actually selling to other people who are trying to sell to the real customers, right? Yeah. Do you think that was a better approach this time around, or you, as opposed to trying to selling directly to the customers, you're selling to? So
no, I don't.
There's a difference between that.
Oh, there's a huge difference, and I don't think it's that good. No. It happens to be what we had to do.
Okay.
But selling to developers, I love selling to developers. I co-founded Demo Camp Waterloo and co-founded iOS KW. I love talking to developers, and my business partner was partnership development program manager like BlackBerry and Nimi, so he loves it too. Investors hate it. They don't think developers are good customers. Yeah. So we've actually had our monthly revenue and number of customers. If we were a more normal B2B company, we would be able to raise money more easily. But we're consistently getting pushback from investors around. They just think developers they think you're all going to go out of business. Right. They think you're cheap. They think there's not very many of you, et cetera, et cetera.
Is it because you're primarily kind of working with smaller companies?
Yeah, currently we are. Although we're moving up. We have an enterprise thing that we've been working on. But yeah, the weird thing though for us is that none of those things have come true. So we have 20 customers, and not one of them has stopped paying us ever. So they missed credit cards not work, but we've never lost a customer yet, which is probably just a fluke, but maybe not. Our average revenue per customer has gone up from 500 to 900, and it's still climbing. So what investors are telling us is not happening to us. So we think developers are good market.
Yeah. I'd say one of the problems with developers is we're cheap, for sure, right? And there's so much free open source stuff that people feel like they can go and get it for free instead of buy it, right? Which it doesn't mean that they're a bad customer, it just makes the sales cycle harder.
So we've had a lot of pressure to go free.
Yeah.
We experimented briefly, because I always resisted that, because I hate that, because it's not validation. If somebody's going to use something for free, they're not paying you, they don't have that whole circle, right? They could just be fooling around for fun.
You need to just do a support model, or?
No, we don't want to do that because...
No, I'm saying
not,
that's what the proposal was. If you make the product free and then you're...
No, it would be like freemium, where they get the free plan and
okay.
eventually they scale up and they need to pay. But we just started out with pay. So we started at $500, and we tried having a free plan, and that customer wasn't serious, and they wandered off, and I think that's partly because we didn't charge them. They didn't take it seriously. We still have people telling us we should go free, but I don't see it. And I think the problem is, are you solving something real? Like, there's no open source solution to this. There's no open source package that locks down your stuff for HIPAA compliance. It's not probably not even possible.
Yeah.
So I think if you're doing something compelling, and I'm willing to pay for SaaS products to help me, right? Like I'm paying for like Slack because we exceeded that, and I'm paying for Help Scout and GitHub and all these things.
Do you think it's more difficult to find potential customers because you're selling to developers, or like because it's not end clients? Like it's easy to put something maybe on YouTube, like the Dropbox thing, where it appeals to anybody who can see it. Like there's such a, I don't know.
I'd rather have a niche. I remember when Tribe HR started. This was a Waterloo startup. And their first presentation I went to where they were talking about it was they said, we wanted to find the most boring business problem possible and solve that because it's a niche. There's nobody doing anything good for them, and we'll make something great and make a lot of money. And that worked pretty well. And I kind of had a similar philosophy. Let's find a niche. Because you can find people, right? Like, and I already knew how to find developers. And we've just expanded that. So we're going through accelerator programs. We have a partnership with a U.S. organization called Startup Health that is for healthcare startups. So I actually think it's easier. It's easier.
People that need to just talk to each other.
Well,
Yeah.
So one of the things that you're talking about is the lack of segmentation. You really want to segment the market that you're going into, right? And if you don't segment the market and you try to talk to everybody, you're actually talking to nobody. Right? And that sucks.
Yeah.
Because your marketing message is not on point. It's not complicated to the people who are listening to it.
So even Dropbox was probably niche targeted.
Yeah. At the time.
Yeah. But different people, like certain kind of person. What about for Capo? Did you?
I'm in a totally different world though. I mean, I had a day job and I was using a product that already existed. So I knew there was a market, there were apps that already did something. I just thought they were crap and I knew I could do better, so I did.
It's a good point. So having competitors is essential.
Oh yeah, if you don't.
And we do too. So we have people, there's people doing what we do, but crappier.
Yeah. Yeah, let them do the work of finding the market.
Yeah.
Going back to segmentation for a second, if you think about Facebook, right? Right now, you think of Facebook is for everybody. But when it started, it wasn't, right? It was focused on a niche of college students. And in fact, college students at one college. And then they started broadening it out from there, right? To satisfy that one niche, and then you make it broader and broader and broader. Now,
There was a time when you were to have a university email address in order to sign up.
yeah.
Yeah, when I signed up for Facebook, you only
Yeah.
could do it if you had a university. And I think it was UW maybe was one of the first in Canada to be allowed. Other questions?
You went kind of briefly over the customer. So what kind of real healthcare problems these customers are addressing?
Yeah, that's one of the things I love about this business is that people are doing cool shit. One of our favorite customers is a guy whose sister had a very difficult delivery of her baby and had to spend a lot of time in a neonatal intensive care unit. And he saw that it was some of the processes there as being very inefficient. Specifically, handling of the bottles of mother's milk. And so they have all these bottles, and you cannot give one mother's milk to the wrong baby, for example. That could kill the baby, not just be not great, but it would literally kill the baby. And it was all manual. And it was taking a huge amount of time. So he developed a electronic system for tracking the bottles, and massive reduction, like from an hour and a half a day per nurse to like 15 minutes to keep track of all this. And so that's installed now on a pilot basis in hospitals in the U.S., in a few hospitals in the U.S. He required compliance because anybody who's handling data that is being exchanged between patients and healthcare providers requires compliance. So that's a cool one. We've got a few people who are doing like self-care management for like if you have diabetes or things like that. There's people who are doing like telemedicine, sports medicine. There's lots of cool stuff.
Did you find a restriction that they have to develop on Linux? Yeah.
We don't have to. We have a few customers who are using .NET and they're running on. We are locking down Azure web apps. But what we discovered is most people are deploying on Linux anyway. But on the client side, of course, they're using iOS, Android, web, everything. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Simon. I don't know if you mentioned it. I just stepped in and out a few times during this thing, but Simon's actually the guy that originally set up this group.
Yeah.
Way back. Huh?
I did mention it.
You did? Okay, I'll shut up then. All right.